Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is live stream with Restream team, and that was one crazy countdown, Charles. I have to admit.
Hello, good morning.
There's
Hello
a
from
lot
San
going
Francisco.
on. Hello from Austin, Texas. We are the Restream team, and today we are going to talk about video editing and how that connects to video creation for individual creators, podcasters, YouTubers, as well as teams, tech startups, founders, and all everyone who is creating videos online. We have a very special show today. We have a guest from one of the companies and tools that we use here at Restream every day. It's called Flask, and we are using it to provide feedback for videos that we added for shorts and all the content that we produce internally. And the founder of Flask, Enrico, is joining us today for a quick intro, quick interview, conversation about video editing, AI in video editing, and just kind of the future of creativity. And he will be also taking questions from you guys. Very quickly, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're growing it proactively right now, and every subscriber matters. It really helps us to see the results of the show. We put a lot of work and a lot of love into this show, so we'd love to see you subscribing. And of course, if you're watching us on any other channel, which today we have over 20 different destinations we're live at, including Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. If you're watching us there, be sure to subscribe and follow us there. We are also very excited about our chatters. This is a Q&A session, so we do have a guest. We do have some questions for him. We will show you a few things about our editing process internally, how we repurpose our streams into clips, into shorts, and into cut downs and other video content. But we want primarily to prioritize your questions. So if you want to talk about video editing or have any questions about Restream, be sure to drop them in the chat. And very quickly, we'll acknowledge our first chatters right here in the...
Over me.
Over you, yeah, over everybody with our chat overlay. Maxime is sending us fire. Would be great to learn how to do such stellar countdowns. That was like quite. It's actually very funny because this idea came to me at night. You said that today you had a good night's sleep. I envy you because I didn't. And like this whole week, I was like thinking about the show, and one of the ideas was like, since we're going to talk about video editing, we just like time lapse how you edit, and that's how this countdown was born. Grant is saying good morning from Portland, Oregon. That's awesome. Let us know, by the way, where you guys watching from. That's the easiest thing to let us know in the chat, which location you are at today. We have hi everyone and GD evening. I think that's good evening, right? Hello from Arizona, from Francisco.
I'm moving the chat. I don't like it over there. It's squashing me. Do you mind? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. We'll make some space for chat. And hello from Arizona. That's awesome. Hello, everybody. All right. So please let us know. Continue sharing your thoughts. Hello from Bulgaria, from Max. Continue sharing your thoughts and ask your questions about video editing and Restream. And we are just going to go ahead and say hello to our guest. Hello, Enrico. Here you are. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Now, you're over in Europe, am I right?
Yes, I'm in Italy. As you can hear from my accent, I'm Italian. Now I'm back in Italy. But no, like I lived around the world. Now I'm back in the...
Which city in Italy? Where exactly?
I'm from a small town near Verona, but I lived in Milan and in other places. But yeah, you wouldn't know it.
I would not know the small town, but I do know Verona. I've been there, and I don't think I've been to Milan. I'm a huge fan of Leonardo da Vinci. He's my hero and my absolute idol. So I recently read his biography, and I know a lot of small towns around Florence because of the book, but maybe not that
Vinci is called Leonardo da Vinci because Vinci
because
is the
of
name
Da Vinci. Yeah, that's the town. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, if you were from there, oh my God, I would have a lot of questions. Awesome. Well, we are going to chat about video editing today. We have some questions for you, but first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story. How did you start? I know you have a YouTube channel. You have background in video editing, but it is, from what I hear, slightly self-taught. You kind of acquired the knowledge by yourself. What's your story there?
This is so I tried to think where to start. So I've always been passionate about, like, I was the usual nerd. growing up, but I did start to experiment with like making little movies and like 480p with like After Effects in 2009, like the gunshot effect and these kind of things. So I've always been I was the one making the after movies, of like the trip with friends, when you're going somewhere. So I did enjoy that. And yeah, so in 2020 then I started a YouTube channel, just because like, I have a camera, I know how to edit, let's just try. And I tried, I started in Italian with just like about anything, the trip, vlog, study tips. I was in university, whatever. So bit of everything. And then over time, I switched to English. I focused it on more on tech, and still now I'm trying to understand what the channel is, and it's quite clearer. But now the channel has like over 250,000, 240,000 subscribers. It's going pretty good. This is my YouTube channel, and basically, yeah, I make videos about I call it behind the scenes of how great products are built. So the design, engineering, psychology of the products that we like to use every day, mostly software stuff, because that's what my experience is. But now I'm trying to get more like experts and other people that will show on the channel how to build great hardware. But that's kind of what the channel is now. I've made a lot of videos, both like on my own and breaking down products or pieces of great products, but also now started with actual companies. So for example, last month I went to San Francisco to make a video with Figma, going behind the scenes with their team on the actual product and how it works, and all the little like design and engineering behind the product. It was super fun. They showed me a lot of this is like, it's basically nerding out on great products. And so it's a YouTube channel, and that's what's been going on so far. But then my main job was, I was doing this on the side. I had a job in tech at Amazon, and then at Maze as a product manager. And then basically, well, I left my job. I just did the channel for a while, just channel basically. But what I like is building products. So I was basically waiting for a problem to solve. And then I was working with my editors. So I've been editing my videos and making motion graphics and animation myself for a long time. So I know how to do it very well. But I just don't have the time. And but I think for anything, editing included, I feel like you should, unless it's something that you genuinely know nothing about, or like, and are not even remotely interested in, like, I don't know, taxes. I don't want to do it. I don't care. Let's get a professional. But
that's a good example.
It's about anything related to your field, that I think it's better if you can start to do it yourself at like 80%, and then hire someone that ideally is 80% or better, but then at least you know how to communicate with. So if I have to talk to an editor, it's not like, hey,
startup advice, isn't it? That's absolute classic founder startup advice.
Yeah, I mean, now I can say to the editor, like, I don't know, change the chromatic aberration on the side, or like do the isometric effect, and that we know what we're talking about. Well, going back to our story, I think so. I was basically working with I started working with external editors and a team, and they're good. Like, the problem is not that they are bad editors or they're not creative or anything, but I was dreading the moment I had to get, the V1 of the video, or like a draft or something. And it was nothing like I imagined. And so now I had to spend hours and hours and hours trying to convey with 1,000 comments what's like, oh, change this, change that. It was almost taking more time than editing it myself. And ideally, over time, an editor or any person you work with, they kind of get your style, get your taste, but still there's always that layer of feedback. And so like, maybe there's something here. And I actually started to talk to other creators, production houses, production teams, and they all kind of say the same thing, which is that they're using the industry standard tool from Adobe, which I'm not going to name, but we kind of already know what it is. I don't want to get sued, but basically, yeah, there's a kind of an industry standard that everyone's using. I also tried, and I don't think it's a bad product, right? But it misses a key point, which is that most creative collaboration and creative feedback is just text boxes. If you go into Figma, even like you need to leave a comment, okay, type out, I make it slightly bigger, make the font a bit more red, blah, 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 blah. Change the color from this hex to this hex. Like, okay, fine. If you need to be like, change the text from A to B, that's perfect. But usually creative feedback, especially when it comes to stuff that moves, like video, it's much more nuanced. Like, okay, we need some more tension here. I don't feel the vibe. We need to move this there. Like, it's very... the example I always give is like, take an object. Like, let's take this kind of fidgety cube that I play with all the time. I show you this, and I ask you, okay, describe this just with words. Very hard. Because, okay, imagine like 8 cubes of metal, but then they have joints and they move. Like, you need references, you need visuals, you need people that explain to you things as you were sitting next to them. And so basically that's the whole premise that I built Flask, which is my product that I'm working on. I'm still making videos, but Flask is my the main thing that where I spend my time. That's also a problem because now I have 2 things that could be full-time, more than full-time, both. And so I'm trying to, find a way to not go crazy. But
this is interesting because actually I was going to ask you a question that was how you're very focused on your product manager background has made you very focused on user experience. And I was going to ask you how you bridge the gap between what a director or a producer might have these sort of abstract feelings that they're trying to convey, but an editor, they need actionable tasks. And I think that seems to be what I love about Flask, is that you are managing to actually make that bridge, make that connection for us.
Yeah, so basically the idea with Flask is that it's not just, hey, you record something and then you watch back the recording. I mean, it's fine. It's what a lot of people use, I don't know, Loom for. A lot of the validation came from the fact that people were sending looms or like video recordings inside comments on like Frame.io or other commenting, feedback tools. But that's not, I mean, it's fine. But then the problem is that, I think it helps to get some context on what Flask is and how it works. I'm just going to share it for a sec, just so. I'm a big fan of visuals, so we know what we're talking about at least. So the idea with Flask is that you can, let me see. So this is my demo video, and some of you might recognize. But basically the idea is that I can, by the way, this is a new version that's coming out tomorrow. So there might be some bugs, but I want to show the new part, the new version and not the old one. But I can be like, hey, this is great. And then, great. I cannot type anywhere. Leave it as a comment. It's fine. It's cool. But then the nuanced feedback I was talking about looks more like this. Okay, so I think this is good. I like the way we are centering the head of the character here. I think probably the shirt should be red or some kind of red. And I don't like this. It's too distracting, and it's distracting away from the main character. Now here it's great, but again, these things are quite distracting. So let's remove them. Okay, so I just recorded naturally as I would speak to someone just sitting next to me. And now Flask is gonna, yes, save the recording and you can play it back later, but it's gonna create actionable feedback. You see that it also divided it on the 2 pieces of feedback that I sent throughout the video individually. So I can, yes, play it back, and then I don't know if you can hear, but there's my voice. I'm explaining it cut out all the empty parts. This first one, for example, there's like my voice, real-time mouse movement, real-time drawing, and it's basically as if you were next to me. But then the important thing, as you were saying, is that in a regular video recording, I would have to watch, imagine this is like a 5-minute thing. I would have to watch the entire 5 minutes to understand what's going on. Here, it's not only, it's not a summary. It's kind of trying to convey the action items. But here, it's also dividing them into 2 different elements. And I can be like, okay, this is done and this is not done. I can be like, let me get a board view and mark them, like move them around the board. This is something new, by the way. And this is basically the kind of old world familiar feedback tool where you leave comments at specific timestamps, but then mixed with this idea that you the feedback should be very visual. Another thing you can do, for example, is you can give feedback and share your screen. I'm not going to try to share a screen inside a screen share inside a live stream. But basically, the idea is that you can also be like, hey, let me open up my screen share and show you on Premiere what I'm working on, or like show you this reference on YouTube, right? So that's the core idea. And the product is always evolving a lot because of great feedback from you guys and a lot of my other teams and customers that use Flask. But this is kind of the feedback tool as it exists for traditional video editing. There's someone else doing a thing. You have to give feedback on the thing. And then this is kind of the medium. You think of it as like a funnel, right? So the bigger the funnel, the more creativity is allowed through, the better the final outcome will be. And also the less pain there's going to be in the process. Because I've had teams that told me like an editor just literally asked for like 5 days of time off because they got a video with like 1,500 notes to address. And also having someone, talk and draw and like you can feel the human side. This is something that I thought was like, oh, okay, whatever. But it turns out to be very important because a lot of the times it feels like, I'm giving like, hey, you need to change these 1,500 things that you get wrong. Actually, it's more like I'm talking to you through it, like having someone explain something. It's much better. It's much more human and it allows more human connection. You don't want to sit through 2 hours of someone giving feedback on a video.
I really like your example because you basically showed like circling things and like making comments and making this voice. It turns feedback into collaborative brainstorming session. Basically, instead of saying, "Hey, you got this wrong," you turn it into, "Hey, I see it this way. I see it differently. Do you see that too?" Basically, and you can actually show it. And I really love it because we use Flask internally all the time, of course. And for me, it is I used to hate making comments for Charles to create on videos because other tools, you're exactly right. You have to type descriptive explanations about what you want differently. And as a reviewer, and I don't know, I'm actually interested in your perspective, Enrico, on that. As someone who is reviewing it, but not a professional editor myself, a lot of times I have a hard time because I'm not always confident that I know exactly what I need. I can say like, this doesn't look right, but I don't know necessarily the answer, right? Like what would look right? Like, okay, so this seems off, but why exactly? I cannot say, especially, quickly and like typing that up. So I think more methods of visualizing references, like that's my favorite thing, that I can drop an image, I can drop a link, I can say, hey, can we make it like here? Can we make it in this style? Can we use this design language here? Makes it so much easier. So yeah, great.
This is absolutely what you're speaking about. Is exactly yet another example of a director or a stakeholder talking in abstract moods, feelings, and not knowing what they want, and an editor actually having to break that into actionable tasks.
That's very exciting.
So one of the premises of the live stream today is that we're talking about AI within the post-production workflow, and I think that's actually this would be a good segue point for us to actually maybe discuss. Enrico, what tools do you use, and also how are you using AI within Flask as a tool?
Okay, sorry, I was sitting down. Okay, so when it comes to AI, I feel like there's a lot of hype, and especially for the types of videos I do, which is like, okay, I can generate purple flying lion. Great. I don't know what to do with that. But this is kind of the problem in a lot of cases. There's many like generative video generation tools. You can generate some B-roll. Great. That's not a video. That's not a story. That's not nothing, in my opinion. I mean, some people are able to make it into a story or use it. But for the types of work I do, like my videos have a lot of animation and motion graphics. I can share again. Like if I go to one of my videos, let's take this one. So my videos have a lot of stuff like this, like animating and text and like showing little like this B-roll, but then it would go into something like this. This is all made with by my team, and it's all good. But it's not something you can generate out of something like I don't know, Veo or one of these C dance models, because then if you need to tweak anything, first of all, it's not really perfect. Like it's not looking sharp, it's not looking like real UI, but it's very hard to tweak, right? So in my videos, I show a lot of UI, a lot of user interfaces. Let me see if there's an example here. Trying to find something. Okay, so here, for example, this is kind of a mock-up of how Google Flights would look like in this video, and this is AI generated, but it's not AI generated in the sense that it's a rendered video that Veo created. This is literally code, and it's been rendered out. And I think this was one of the biggest kind of changes in workflow that I've had in a really long time. And I mean, from time to time, we do use like, hey, let's generate a scene that we need for a specific video of like someone holding a phone in a specific way, whatever, it's fine. But I think the real value here is to have something that can, I mean, anyone can customize. I feel like the real unlock is not going to be, hey, let's generate some B-roll, but more like, can it do something that I'm doing manually in a mass kind of production and time-consuming way and make it faster? If I'm making a podcast, I'm probably not going to care about generating UI that moves in 3D. I'm going to care about, can I just cut this out in a very timely manner and like switch between camera angles? Like when I did an interview with Figma in San Francisco, I had like 4 hours of footage. And since it's a type of video that we don't do a lot, we did it manually. It was like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's not try to go crazy and try to transcribe and make. We found that just like going through the video and cutting out the fluff and like selecting the moments manually was the best thing. If we started to do it like every single video, then we would definitely start to bring in some AI workflows to help us out with that. Or in my case, really for the videos, the bulk of the work is the motion graphics. The bulk of the work in the sense that it's time consuming and it's the execution of it is not really adding much value. Like recreating a user interface in After Effects, it's really, really hard. And
especially if someone's made it in Figma and then you have to use something to take
made it in Figma and
you
then
have
I
to
have
break
my
it into these
editor.
layers. Nightmare.
My editor is not a designer, so I don't blame him for being like, okay, I tried to my best and it looks like a rectangle more or less, but I don't blame him because it's designing UI is really, really hard. So can we build systems that make us, like right now, I literally came out of a 4-hour workshop with the designer I hired to build new branding for the channel. And the main requirement of the branding for the channel is to have recognizable like, okay, fonts and whatever, and colors and animations. But the requirement is it needs to be able to be created by a human, but also by an AI. So the output of this design work is going to be some Figma elements, like a font, like colors, hexes, whatever. But then a design MD file with guidelines on how to do an animation that ideally in like 6 months to a year, most animations will be executed by an AI system. Now, does it mean that there's no like, generate the animations and they're perfect and done and add it to the video? No, it's not removing the creative part. That's a good thing. Like you're not spending time creating rectangles in After Effects. You're spending time working and with the AI tool to tweak and convey something in your animation or in your motion graphics or whatever you're doing. And that's where Flask comes into kind of a second life that I'd never planned it to work for this kind of stuff, but it ended up being perfect for it. And actually the reason we're here is because Charles was like, hey, I didn't know you could do this with Flask and AI systems, but you can, and it's crazy and it's great.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we're here. We can show later more details, but like this literally came out of my need, like the thing you tried. So
what Enrico is talking about there is that I was dipping my toes into making motion graphics using Visual Studio Code as the software, and then bringing agents in, Claude and so on, and then using a platform called Remotion to make some animations. And I don't know, it just occurred to me like, well, I'm having to give Claude instructions and I'm having to type them all. So what I'm doing, obviously, is I'm dictating these instructions, hitting enter, and then it's processing it. And I'm finding myself saying, and that bit over where it's where it's orange, and I'm using natural language to talk to Claude anyway, but I want to be able to point at things. I wonder whether, I could get it somehow to look at my screen in Chrome and recognize what I'm doing inside of Flask. And it was like, oh yeah, I understand Flask. You can, I can take feedback from Flask. I was like, wait, what? So I'm able to leave feedback in Flask, and Claude can comprehend what it is I'm doing in Flask, which blew my mind. And I instantly reached out to Enrico and was like, wait, what is this? Tell me about this, because it was, for me, it was an incredible level up and mind blowing.
No, that's huge, because in the end of the day, I think that is the future of, especially for professional teams and folks who create content at scale, right? So some of us have YouTube channels and content as our passion projects, right? Like we love it, we want to do it ourselves. Some of us have a job where you have to produce content, right? And like this opportunity to connect feedback directly with agents that will be producing those motion graphics, that's a huge time saver. Like I can totally see how that would be.
But it's also a platform that's bridging the gap between the humans, and now it's bridging that gap between AI and humans, and it's doing so seamlessly. It's such an incredible, platform. It's so useful.
I think we can show an example just to. I have a little demo that I'm experimenting with these things. There's no right or wrong. There's no this is the system, and I'm starting to kind of implement it in real videos now. So it's like this is the cutting edge, I think, and we are in the 0.1% of video people maybe doing this kind of things. So
I put a link to the website down there. There's also a QR code in the corner. Where are you? Over there. Perfect. So you can, if anyone watching can try it out now.
Right here.
Try the QR code.
Is my screen shown? No.
Let's see. I should be able to pull you in right here.
Okay. So this is how I write and do stuff with my YouTube videos. Don't get scared. This is the coding tool. This is one of my scripts. I have skills that I use to write videos. It's not going to write the videos for me, but it's helping me do research using X and deep research from Google, whatever. That's not the point right now. The point is more let's take this.
I can see nothing on that screen, by the way, because you're too far away. So you have to maybe sportscast and tell us what you're doing.
Okay. Wait, is my window not?
It's just very small. It's just very small. Yeah, because there's kind of a lot going on. Maybe you can zoom in a little bit.
So what are we looking at here?
Okay, so
is that VS Code?
Yes. So this is VS Code. Let me hide some things that are not needed. Okay, so this is Claude basically. It's Claude Code, so it has all the power of writing code and doing things. But basically what I asked it is to set up Remotion, which is basically a rendering tool. And I asked it to create an animation of some trees. It's very generic. And then basically it created the animation and it uploaded it to Flask. So it provided me a Flask link. This is all automatic. I connected the Flask MCP. And so I have a link, which now I need to switch my video share to show you. Damn it, replace window.
So an MCP is a way of connecting one platform to another. Yes. So it allows machines to talk to each other.
This is what it created. I mean, don't judge it. It's like a one-shot prompt. Create a generic animation about trees.
It's not bad for what it was and for how long it took you, right?
I mean,
imagine.
It's fine. The point is mostly to get a. Huh?
Let it grow. It's the text.
Basically,
we might be getting into copyright issues with the Lorax.
Nice.
Let me get the new Flask.
Any Dr. Zeus fans out there?
So basically, basic animation. So this is all very powerful. Imagine you have your design system and you have or your animation curves locked in. This is super powerful to generate animations of anything. Give it a chart and it's going to animate the animation of the chart and all that. Now, what is the limit here? What is the barrier? What is the limitation? is giving feedback. Because if in After Effects or Premiere you have keyframes and you can be like, okay, let's move this to the left, let's see how it looks, and move to the right and see how it looks. Like the feedback loop here is very difficult because basically you have a prompt box and you're like, okay, mostly around the end, try to find that's what Charles was saying. But with Flask, I basically said, you're not going to be able to hear, I think, the audio, but I was literally like, okay, take this tree and remove it, take this tree and remove it, make this purple, and make it red. So I just literally spoke. I was drawing some things on the screen. And then I'm not going to reopen the Claude terminal, but basically...
Yeah, just apply it and see how it changes.
Yeah, and I got a V2 that got... It did its thing, like, okay, let me read the feedback from Flask. Computer is doing its thing, blah, blah.
So you go to Visual Studio Code, which is the application where you do your coding.
It's just because it's two different windows, I don't want to keep switching.
Yeah.
But yes,
then it knows, you tell it, oh, I've left you some notes on that link that you gave me. It then pulls those notes in, makes those changes, and
it uploaded automatically a V2. I didn't have to do anything. I was like, hey, left some feedback. And then it read the feedback, analyzed the feedback. It did all the changes, like, okay, I rendered a V2. Now, instead of having a file buried in some folder in your computer that you cannot give feedback to, it automatically updated to Flask, uploaded to Flask as a V2. So you can see here, it's a V2 of this one video. I play it, and then there's my changes.
And
the two trees that I mentioned that are gone.
Made it purple and red. Yeah.
I want to point the attention to something here, which is that the feedback itself is not, hey, remove the leftmost tree, whatever. Is remove this. So if you just have the transcript alone from this recording that I did, you wouldn't be able to understand what the feedback is. So the hard part of making this work with AI, like if you play this back for a human, then it's like, let me turn off the audio. So it's like, okay, I can see what you're pointing to. It's very clear to me that like remove this is pointing to that tree. But a computer doesn't know that. So the hard part of this is that Flask is basically from the recording picking out what are the main frames to send out to the AI based on what you were drawing. It's rendering out the drawings on top of the frames of the video, sending those out, and it also has other tools that the AI can use, that Claude can use, to pick more frames if it needs more detail on the feedback. So this is the hard part of the system. And so you can imagine this is just one use case, but it could be anything. It could be a motion graphics, it could be an animation, it could be a lot of different things. And I want to position Flask going forward for this kind of new way of working, of being the feedback layer of agentic video or like AI video editing, right? So imagine you're generating something with whatever model, whatever tool, whatever like Cdance, Higgsfield, we don't care. Generate something. The hard part is that it's not easily tweakable because it's not some layers in After Effects or a shape in like Blender or something like that. And so the feedback layer is this. So you just like, okay, you get a notification, hey, the new version is up on Flask. Give me your feedback. And then, yes, I can still go ahead and go here and be like, this sucks. And okay, I have a piece of notes and that says that this sucks. But the powerful part is the screen. And also if you share your screen inside, like, oh, do it like this, and you share your screen in Flask, the AI also has access to that. So this is very new stuff. Like this is something that it's very cutting edge. There's not many people doing this, but the people that are doing this, they're like, they have the problem of feedback, and just like Charles was saying. So and also I am starting to implement these kind of systems in my production workflow for the channel, where because we have a lot of UI animation, so I can share some tests. Like let me see, there's a bunch of things. Okay, so this is a test that I made of, okay, so this is animation of a UI of some flights that we made for a video. Pretty standard and boring, if you ask me. But then with these things, you can achieve some stuff that looks not like kind of AI website. like this, for example, is the same video, but I asked it to add a 3D camera with depth of field, so you know that the things that are not in focus are going to be blurred, and a pixel grid. It's not, I don't know from the live stream how much it comes through, but a pixel grid to make it kind of gritty, and I think the effect is much nicer and much cooler, right? And
Oh
this
yeah,
is
it's
Okay,
totally
so
coming through. Like those
now,
angling and absolutely.
and is
And
that made in Remotion?
yes, but Remotion is
Amazing.
just the renderer. So Remotion is just something that transforms code. Like
Interesting.
imagine the way it works is, imagine that you have one of those like website creator types of things, right? You can generate a website. You can generate a website with you can generate a website that animates like this. No, so you can ask it to generate some code that creates a rectangle, and then the bars appear, and this is basically a website, right? So the only thing that this Remotion package that we're talking about does is it literally takes this and makes it an MP4. That's all it does.
Got it.
Remotion
Got
is
it.
not a suite. It's just a render. So
Thank you. You've reframed it for me. I thought that what Remotion was doing was actually dealing with the sort of the vector graphics, but actually it's just
no. The
it's
vector,
just a render
the
engine.
good thing is that like you can choose what the thing is you want to create.
Wow.
So in this case, it's UI. And in the case of this, but let me show you another test that I ran.
I think what's really interesting about this is it's not. This is what we're saying is sort of one use case, but
this is
also going to be a natural way of talking to, let's say, your editing software has gone through, as you said, you came back from San Francisco with 4 hours of footage. You're like, now traditionally an editor will watch all of that footage to understand every single frame and then how to construct their narrative. What that AI assistant editor can do now will be go through all of that, cut out all of the bits that are just, the camera being put back onto the tripod that was left running, or someone walking into frame. You're like, I don't want people, in the background that's too busy. It will go through and do your sort of selection, can make you a timeline, and you can go and watch that timeline and say, oh, that's good. Let's put this out at the beginning. Or this is a nice opening shot. Let's put this here. And you can order it, because at the moment it doesn't actually, it can't understand. I've done some tests with Premiere's latest beta software, and it doesn't understand what it's looking at, and so it can do very disorganized edits. What if you can get this feedback loop working with something like Flask? You can say, oh, this is a good shot, we need that at the beginning.
I don't think that's the case.
You don't think that will work?
Because I think so. This is another example. This is 3D, right? So it's something that was done in so basically what the Claude did is create let's call it a website, but code that generates a 3D element using a package called 3.js with this specific characteristic, with this specific shape, with this specific whatever, and then rendered it into a video using Remotion. That's what happened here. Now, you mentioned and this works because all of this is code. Like the color of this thing is a piece of hex code somewhere that the AI can read and change easily. When it's a piece of interview that I shot in San Francisco, it's not code, it's pixels. And the AI struggles with pixels because it's hard for it to understand. Okay, it's hard for it to watch back the video. So if I have this video right here from my YouTube channel, let's open one. So if I have this intro of the video, it can make the cuts. It can be like, okay, at second like 1.03, make this cut, whatever. But then it cannot watch it back and be like, oh, the motion looks smooth and cool, right? Because the information the AI has is the transcript. So let's imagine here there's just music. It won't know anything. And then either every 1 second or at every slight change of what's happening on the screen, it has a screenshot. So imagine you are judging your work as an editor just by having a transcript and a set of screenshots. It's very hard, right? Because you cannot.
We used to paper edit back in the day.
It's like
paper edit was very
storyboards.
much
Yeah, like storyboards did exactly that. And originally people,
Yeah, but then you're trying to judge something that is final. So you're trying to create something that can go out, not create a story.
You don't think we'll get there? You don't think we'll get to a point where the systems
I
can
don't
actually
think we'll
analyze
get
video?
there in that sense. I think we'll get there if we start to create something that is like, I think the AI being able to watch back, okay, let's imagine that you have even the image generation. Let's remove the layer of time. Let's think about Nano Banana and those kind of image generation tools. They can generate whatever you want. Doesn't mean that they have any kind of taste, or that like you need to give okay, you generated it. It kind of sucks. Let me tweak this, change that. Okay, now it looks good. But you decided it looks good. So
Yeah.
that's the part that is interesting to me.
The reason that you don't, when you regenerate an image, let's say you say, hey, I'd like this image. Yesterday, I wanted to put a pair of those Snap glasses that have just been released. That are huge. I wanted a thumbnail with me with these giant glasses on. And the first time I prompt it, and I'm like, here's a reference image. Here's me. Put these glasses on me, and it was completely wrong. So then I said, okay, could you just tweak those glasses? It gave me an entirely different image because it took that prompt and started again.
Yeah. If it had a 3D model of your head, then it would just know with code to take the glasses, make them bigger, whatever. Let me show you a real example. This is a video that it's a short that I made. This
is reassuring for people like myself who are creatives and also edit. It's very reassuring that human element is always going to be needed.
I do want to come back to this conversation for sure, because there's so much worry and so much anxiety about AI taking away the human part in video process and creativity and so on. So I would definitely love to hear your thoughts, Enrico, on. But let's see the short.
So this one is a short that I made, challenging myself to do everything agentically, so with Claude Code. It didn't work. The core edit, I recorded me talking to this camera, and then I asked it to I have the script that I was reading, so it's like, oh, can you cut out the silences and cut out the double takes, and just it did it poorly. So I had to it did 70% of the work. So I basically had to go into Premiere Pro and do it myself. But that's not really a time-consuming part. So basically, this was edited in Premiere Pro. There's nothing crazy about this. But some pieces of this were made agentically where it made sense. So, okay, this animation, it's easiest to do it in Premiere. Take a screenshot of Google, 2 keyframes from here to here. Done. It's faster, literally faster to do it in Premiere.
Now you've got some easing on the end there. You need to change the keyframes to ease it in, but...
Yes, but I have my presets, so I'm good.
Right.
It's faster. But then let's start to see this. So you cannot hear it, but I'm trying to convey the idea of, when you type and it's you don't select anything to type on, and there's the little noises that it makes. You're trying to type into nothing. So I have all these little keyboard things on the bottom here. All these letters that I'm typing, and you cannot hear the audio, but they are matched to the moment. There's so imagine aligning them manually. It would take a lot of time. You need to listen to the first tick and then move it and then go to the next one.
So you're aligning the sound of the keyboard to the image as it moves.
Because the keyboard sounds were made with a real keyboard, recording the screen. And so I'm like, okay, please, Claude, I need some keystrokes effects like this. They need to appear. They need to say this. Analyze the audio sound of this recording. Analyze where get the moment where there's some sound of a beep, and then I need them to create. I need you to create an animation of just these keys, these key things in the bottom, aligned perfectly to the sound, and it did it. So instead of doing manually, this is all perfectly aligned. I don't know why it keeps moving, but it's all perfectly aligned to the sound. So this was one. Now, there's another. This is a bit of screen recording. So this is all done kind of the old way. But then there's, let me see. Yes, okay. Okay, and then there's this. So this was done with Claude. So I'm like, okay, let me open up Notion. I wrote the script in Notion. Videos. I wrote the script in Notion, and basically this is a script of this video. And in the in the callouts here, I quickly drew in Figma a storyboard of what this would look like and kind of explain what the animation need to do, right? So this, and this, and then another animation of kind of a text box simply looking like this. And so I basically connected Cloud Code to Notion so it can read the script. I didn't even copy paste it. And then I said, okay, cool, generate me the animation. Use this or that UI library. So basically, this is a code-based animation rendered into a video by Remotion. So I can be, okay, like this, me again. So this is another one. Okay, typing, cool. Then there's, yeah, this is the same again. There's this one, like a search box with characters appearing. This is also made agentically. So like, hey, like it decided on the animation. It decided on like, imagine having this to do this manually in Premiere. Okay, move the keyframe, make the next letter appear, and then there's ways to do it faster. But this was like literally 5 seconds. I was like, I drew this on Notion, this storyboard. Like, hey, make this, and then I said, then show another visualization with simple round rectangle acting as a text box where the text is typed with a blinking indicator. That's all I did. And then it created it. And so the overall short was edited kind of traditionally. So I think the idea that, oh, it's going to do everything from start to finish, it's bullshit. But the fact that you can take the most time-consuming parts and actually focus on the creative part, that's what makes it interesting. And that's why Flask, to me, is the right interface for working on the creative part. Like, imagine you did, the animation, it uploaded a V1 on Flask. Like, it uploaded, I don't know, this V1 on Flask. Let's open it. And then you're like, okay, fine. But what if we add a camera that's 3D and then pixel grid? Okay, it does its thing in 2 minutes. You're just like, oh, here's the V2 ready. There we go. Here's the V2. And then you might be like, okay, maybe here we want to make it a bit more red. And then you keep going. And then your feedback is just the creative part. And the execution is taken by the machine. But the real creative work, the one that makes a difference, is still your work. It's not the execution. The only thing I'm saying here for people working in video is that if your only added value is execution, that's when you should be worried. Like, if your only added value is, hey, you give me perfect instructions and then I can edit the video as instructed, you're dead. If you have the creativity to say, and the taste to say, this is good, this is bad, it might need something like this, that's when it makes sense, and that's the value that is gonna bring, in my opinion. So it's basically the same as saying, in the past, computers are called computers because in the past there was a job called a computer, people that did calculations. And so the real, and it doesn't exist anymore because the computer does the actual calculation, but it doesn't. But we all use computers because the hard part is, knowing what to do with the thing, not doing the actual execution of it. And so I think we are seeing this in the video space, and I'm more bullish than ever on people. But again, if your only contribution is, I'm an editor that executes really fast, I think
then yeah, that's what AI is going to replace. How much time do you think that would save on average compared to, like before this tools started to emerge, for someone who is creating, shorts and videos and animations? What do you think is like the time saving? Like, are we saving hours? Are we saving days? Are we saving like years?
At the beginning it adds more time. Like right now, I'm spending more time because I'm trying to build a system. I'm trying to. I hired a designer to create guidance files for the AI to use. But then the idea is that if I have to make a video in 6 months, might change. This is the idea in my mind. We write the script in I and the writer or whoever writes the script in Notion. I record on my camera, and I have this file, like this A roll of the recording. Maybe or maybe not, because some like I send it to the editor and the editor cuts it into the A roll. Now, could you automate it? Yes, but I find that, for example, for us, when you cut it and you hear yourself back, you might hear, oh, I said that before, so let's cut it. Like, you made some actual creative adjustments as you do it. If it's like a 5-hour thing, then probably let's automate it. But in our case, it makes sense. And then what? Then I have next to the script a bunch of storyboards of the like super rough storyboards, like drawn literally like with the mouse on of what we need. Like, hey, there's an animation that more like just does this and then does that, and then a first kind of AI skill and agent takes that and creates kind of higher fidelity storyboards that are then in Figma editable with our style. So like with our perfect assets and colors and fonts and brands and blah 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 blah. Then a second agent might be, and not everything needs an animation. Maybe there's an animation here, there's an animation here, there's an animation here. Here, there's like a B-roll from a YouTube video that we might need to find. And then you get another skill that translates that into video and renders it out with remotion. So the editor might end up having, the original A-roll in Premiere, and then a bunch of the more complicated shots already done at like 70% or 80%. And then what he needs to do is like iterate on those shots, right? And then the more precise you build your feedback, your system over time, the more those shots can be, instead of 70%, they're like 75, 80, 85, 90. So the only thing left at the end is like, oh, okay, the time is a bit off, make it a bit faster, and then, okay, done, usable, let's go. So this is...
So I was going to say about you was talking about the cost saving things. If you know how to do an animation, it can be quicker to go and do that animation. You had that one with the bar going across. I could do that in 10 minutes maybe in After Effects, make it look reasonable. And I am iterating as I go. I'm like, oh, it's not working like this. Let's change the easing. I'm actually doing that process. That feedback loop is happening immediately in my brain. And so I just have to build it. But then I've only got one. Now, if you're going to do that in AI, it's going to take me now, at the moment, it's probably going to take me 30 minutes to get that to sort of roughly where I want it. And it won't look the way that I imagined, but it might look good. And then next time I can iterate on that, it'll be much quicker. And something I would like to point out about video editing is I edited a commercial for olive oil. And we had a bunch of shots. And one of the final shots was a couple coming in to kiss. And the editor and the previous editor, the offline editor, and the client had these people and they met. What I did was I had them come in and I didn't have them touch, and then I cut to the product, so that as you're immediately looking at their lips and then it cut to the product. Because you were looking at them about to kiss. AI would have only done what the director wanted. I did something the director hadn't asked for. And again, I edited a short film, and the very end of the film didn't work for me. I was like, I don't understand what you're trying to convey. So I took the beginning of the film, I took the shots that hadn't been used, and I made the opening again using unused footage, and I put it to the end so that it made you feel like, oh, this whole thing, it was a film about veterans and veterans getting help, and how every day the same thing seems to just happen over and over. So I took the beginning of the film and put it at the end as well. And the director was like, you've just completely changed my movie, and it's so much better. They wouldn't have done that. But because I was an independent person, and that is something that's a reason that you will never take the human out of really good creative processes, is that they will come up with the unexpected. And AI is only going to do what you tell it. It's a computer, right? It's only going to do what you tell it to do. It's not going to come up with really novel ideas.
That's why it's an executor. No. I think you're right.
Right.
And Flask is the way you tell it what you want to tell it. So that's the thing. It's not trying to come up with anything creatively new. It's like, even in my case, it's very like trying to create interfaces and motion graphics and animations. But then the rule set the creative rule set that I'm trying to tell it to, like the first layer of creativity is, okay, what is the rule set? Okay, animation always starts with like we use, I don't know, motion blur this way. Or like we try to go from blurred to not blurred, or we use this kind of springy whatever. That's one, and these are the kind of rules we create. But then to me, that's why I say, like at the end, you're gonna watch your video back, and you're gonna feel like, this section is a bit slow. The AI can never catch that. Or like, oh, what if we invert section 1 and 2 to create it? That's the part that the AI cannot do. And then maybe, inverting, actually doing the job of inverting and matching the sound and whatever, that's something that the AI can do. If you can tell it properly what you want, that's why Flask exists. And to me, that's how the job changes, right? So one of the, as you were saying, like for example, I think most of us have watched the original Star Wars. The original edit of Star Wars, the rebels were not on the base that was about to be obliterated by the Death Star. They thought about it only in the edit, so there was no
Right.
tension, right?
Right.
And so the Martha Lucas was like, what if we made them, so they put together some scenes, they used some like voiceovers to convey that the rebels were on the base that was about to be destroyed by the Death Star, and they saved it just at the last moment. But this was done in the edit. And so that's something that the
Big
guys
creative
cannot
decision.
figure out.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, hey, edit this Star Wars thing at the start, this rebel, do this, and then the eyes like, done, fantastic, it's perfect, it's amazing, it's sexy as you described, but then it won't have that same, the twist that made it really good.
Right.
So
With the human
I'm not
factor,
worried about creative people.
like
I'm worried about executors, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
But it makes sense. And like, I think you touched on this a little bit, Enrico, that the taste is one of those things that AI will never learn, right? Like you can probably train it to eventually what we started with, like to rewatch the videos, like to basically understand pixels better. That is probably going to be possible and achievable. But the taste and like the decision that would turn the video from mediocre to like really good, the one that like really pivots the story, really captures, really connects with human emotion, like that, I don't see that happening.
And it's reworking things that it's already seen. It's now a lot of art is emulating other art. They say that there's nothing new, but I don't think that's. I'm not entirely certain that's entirely true. I think that there are a lot of things that are new, and I don't think that AI is necessarily going to be able to come up with really brand new things because it's working on a set of data.
But if you're able to build, like, I think people confuse taste with style. I think style is already matchable by AI. Like, let me show you. If I can share my screen, like, I'm approaching it as an engineer or as a designer of apps and tech products. Like, if I go to Figma here and open up, it opened an app. Let's try to see. Let's take Apple. Let me share another window.
Well, what you're describing is why you can give brand guidelines to an AI.
That's what I'm trying to do now.
Go and do this using this set of parameters, but it's a data that you're feeding it, and it's the same with, these AI image generation.
I'm just gonna hide the multi-screen real quick because
you don't want us to fall into that multiverse.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. So basically, if I replace Figma, where is Figma? Okay. So iOS. Okay, so this is coming from Apple. It's the design system of Apple. So Apple is giving us this. So we have all the individual editable components to create something, right? So it's basically telling someone that wants to create something that looks like an iOS screen or iOS experience, okay, you have this thing. This thing has a coordinate radius of whatever it is, like 12, or where is it? 24, and you can increase it or decrease it, but you don't want to. Like, this is how an Apple experience should look like. This is the spacing. These are the colors. Like, and these are all things that are very well encodable. So again, now I'm trying to do this for animations for my channel. So, okay, the background always like this. The animation will go from this to this. And then the best practice is that we put always rounding on rectangles, like all these kinds of things. And so people confuse taste with style. Like, this is style. This is encodable. It's clear that, like, this is a fact, right? Now, the idea of what we create with this, that's the taste, right? So even if I think about replace window, okay. Even if I take Flask, my own product, I've created a system of primitives where, for example, a drop-down menu looks like this. And so if it has to create, I use a lot of AI, of course, to code it, but if I have to build this new menu here, I don't have to start from scratch. I'm like, okay, we already have something called drop-down menu, a primitive, and then we can use it all over the place. The taste to me comes in, okay, what does this thing do? What does this look like for the user? Or Even in this, if you see this drop-down menu, it has a little springy animation coming from where it starts, and that's not native. I actually added it manually. It can divide into multiple groups. It has a little overlay around the rest of the UI, so you focus the attention on this, but then not on all of them. Like this one, for example, does have it, and this one doesn't, because in this context, it makes more sense for it to not feel like it's too detached from the rest of the UI. So all these things, this is where you need to have someone with a good eye to come in and say, okay, great, the guidelines you followed were correct, and you did it precisely and perfectly. But actually, here it makes more sense to do would call paste, right?
Yeah. Any tips? And by the way, for our viewers, last chance to ask Enrico any questions. I'm sending a reminder that if you want to ask him something, now is the time. Any tips on developing good eye? Because developing skills in AI, developing like design systems, and actually this mechanical skill that you're exactly right, are going to be eventually taken by AI. It's pretty simple, right? It's very easy. Just repeat it, do it a lot, and then eventually you'll learn. What about developing a good eye? Is there a playbook?
Do a lot, steal a lot, and expose yourself to the best of whatever is in your field. Like if I were only to watch like really bad B movies in my life, then my experience of a movie shit movie. If I watch the masterpieces, then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you can achieve. And then you can be like, okay, let's steal that shot from there, let that inspiration from there, that thing from there. So to me, creativity is basically just assembling a puzzle piece of other things you've seen, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the next level, so this is kind of the first level, I think the next level is being able to understand, okay, I see something that, so the first level is recognizing that the thing you're creating is not at the level it should be. I created something, an animation, a short, an edit, whatever. If your taste level is here and then okay, this is fantastic, great. But then it turns out that your taste level is very low because you don't have exposure to what greatness looks like. That's kind of step one. Because a lot of people are like, okay, I made something. I can recognize that it's not good, but I don't know what to change about it. Like, for example, I don't like color grading, editing the colors. I don't know how to, this is something that I always never liked, and I don't know how to do. And so I can recognize that my color grading is shit, but I don't know what to do about it because I don't have the skills, right? So I feel like the taste is both. It's not just recognizing that it's shit. It's also knowing what to do about it. If I see a UI now, I consult with startups, and I see a UI, I can recognize that it's good or bad, but I can also articulate, okay, why is it not? How should it look like? If I'm an expert filmmaker, I can be like, okay, the color grading is off. If I'm an editor for YouTube, I can be like, the intro, the pacing is off. Probably the music is a bit too flat. So why don't we change the music and make it, a bit more? Or if it's an animation, it's like, oh, okay, that's great, but it's a bit too smooth. Why don't we try to make it so that it's like at 10 frames per second instead of 30 to make it a bit more grungy? Like all these kinds of things. That's the second layer, and you develop that by trial and error. I think I don't think there's any shortcut there. Maybe AI is going to help some way, but I don't know. I feel like
I think you're right. It's the exposure. It's the exposure and learning to articulate it. That's a big one because it's one thing to be able to see something, but you're pretty worthless if you can't explain to others what exactly is that you're trying to achieve. I will serve you one question from the chat because I think it's going to be interesting. What editing mistakes immediately make a video feel unprofessional? And I know that there's probably or amateur, right? Or bad taste in the context of our discussion. I know there's not one thing, but what comes to your mind as something that you would recommend to early stage, maybe beginner editors, people who are working with video but kind of just starting? What's one thing to avoid? Do not do that.
I'm talking about YouTube here. I don't know anything about
absolutely. Most of our audience is YouTubers. This is a question from YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm thinking like, well, on a technical level, audio is more important than video. Like, if you cannot understand what I'm saying, you're gonna click out. Like, my microphone is more important than I could film this with a like a 720p. I could film a video with like a 720p phone, and it wouldn't matter if I have a good audio. If I have like a red camera, super fancy, and then a shit microphone, people would click off. So audio is the first one. So make sure that the audio levels are correct. That if you're using music, it's not overpowering the audio, but at the same time, the music is augmenting to the storytelling, right? If you use sound effects, don't make them crazy loud. Like, to me, the thing that the thing that makes me think an editor is not good is not that they cannot do the craziest animation, whatever, is that it is when it feels like they haven't watched it back and felt natural as if they watched it on YouTube. Like, really? Like, I'm watching the thing you spent some time on working, and I cannot hear my voice. How is it possible? That maybe there's some technical reason, and we can understand why. But like, if I'm is completely off, and then I cannot hear myself because there's like boom sounds everywhere, what are we doing here, right? So to me, it's like, just watch it back and think, would this fit a video on YouTube I watch? Or like, if you know the creator, most likely if you're working with the creator, you know the types of video they make, and like, would this fit on their channel published today as is, right? Of course, it may be a draft, whatever, but if I know like a Johnny Harris video, like super polished, this kind of style, like animation maps and whatever, I can kind of know if something is, I can have an idea at least if something might fit Johnny Harris's channel. Or if I have Casey Neistat, it's completely different style. And so maybe it's not just a technical, like, okay, the sound is overpowering, but maybe it's just like, if I have super smooth, fancy animation in Casey Neistat's video, they don't belong because it's not like its style. So to me, it's on a technical level, but also on a like, just like, how do you say, common sense level. Just watch the video back, and does it feel good to watch? Like, don't just execute the instructions unless they're like doing the final touches and the person wants something really specific. Like, just watch it back, and does it feel good as a video to watch? Can you understand? Like, sometimes I would get mad with my editors because they're like, we're making this fancy animation to convey maybe a concept about tech, right? And so they would do the thing I asked them to do. Like, hey, we start here, we do this appears, whatever. And then they send me something and it's horrible. And I ask them, but did you understand what I was trying to say in the video, in that segment? Like, no. What are we talking about? Like, your job is not to execute blindly what I tell you. That's what AI does really well. Your job is to say, I think actually it's not clear what it's trying to convey. What if we put the timing in this way, or we make it right? Or if it's completely not understandable, let's text Enrico like, hey man, your idea for the animation here, it does not convey anything remotely close to what you were trying to convey to the audience or explain this concept, right? So to me, that's the sign of a good editor, is not trying to blindly follow what I tell, but be able to make adjustments on the fly. And if they are not sure, I would much rather them ask me, like, hey, what were you trying to convey here? Is it this? Is it that? Because I don't feel like I'm getting it. That's the best message I can ever get from an editor, because it means they care. They're trying to, they are seeing the edit as something that tries to do something and not just a job they have to accomplish. Because again, that will be taken away by AI very soon.
Very soon. I love that. I love that. I love this idea. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think one of the issues that people tend to have is that editing is a technical job, and it's also a creative job in terms of what are you doing when you're editing. You are crafting a narrative to either show or not show something, and for how long, right? So it might be that you need to create that story using things that have already are set in stone. So it's already been shot. Now you need to create the story. And it could be that the story as written doesn't really flow that well. So your job as an editor, regardless of how technical you are, is to create that narrative, that story arc. So as in Enrico's example, the beginning's not quite working. Why is it not working? Is it not pacey enough? Does it not set up the characters? Did you not have an establishing shot to tell people where they are? People want to feel like they are in that story. Whether they know it or not, they want to attach themselves to characters. And that character might be an app. It might be a person. It might be the app that they want to use. It could be, a protagonist of some sort. So that's half of your job, is just technically to use your technical abilities to create a story arc. Now, the second part of your job is the technical ability to fix things in post, using AI to tidy up the audio, using all the tricks to add the graphics, to sweeten and to produce, to mix the audio to the right level. So the first thing that makes anything edited look unprofessional is a lack of story arc. Often people will try and load things with a whole bunch of whizzy effects and so on, and that's not that captivating. We've all seen all of these plugins. It's not even going to work on TikTok. Why do things work on TikTok? Well, they work because they're very snappy, and you'll notice that they front load a lot of the narrative. They set you up. They hook you in. We talk about
strong
the hook.
hooks. Yeah.
Right. And as an editor, you can create that hook by taking something that should have been at the end and putting it at the beginning, that kind of thing. So things that my answer to that is poor narrative is the thing that makes people look very unprofessional. And that point about sound, if someone makes that sound, everyone hears it, but a flash frame of that quick, a lot of people won't see it. They'll miss it. That's why you can get away. Film is only 24 frames per second, and they move. So your ears are a lot less forgiving, and you will lose people very quickly if they can't hear or understand what's happening. And there are tools that will help you with that. We were talking about AI. There are tools that will that will change to another language. What's the word I'm looking for? Translate.
Translate, yeah.
Tools that will translate, and there are tools that will clean up your audio. These are all things that can be done and should be done. And if you're not a master of any of them, there are plenty of places to go and learn these things.
I really like the point on that it is editor's job to figure out where animation is needed and where maybe like the source video needs to be just redone, because it is a collaborative effort. And I do believe that having another person having a look and saying, hey, you know what, I kind of sort of understand what you're trying to do here, but this just doesn't match. Like your feedback, like your ask to show the tool, and especially when you're creating video about products, right? Like I'm sure, Enrico, you do a lot of that work, right? Like explaining how Flask work, explaining how animation works, explaining how certain products and tools work. Like it's a lot harder to make those videos than to make a video about characters, right? About people, about their emotions, about their interactions. Interactions and conversations are easier to film and edit than to make people excited about how you would record.
I feel like it's two different types of work, but I don't feel like one is easier or harder. Like
I think it's incredibly hard to explain why creating audio feedback for video editors is cool, right? Like we kind of understand that, and you do an amazing job explaining that, but it's a lot harder than creating a narrative around like, okay, this person, had a relationship and then fell in love with somebody else, and then they like left that person, but then there was drama, and then someone got sick, and then like Romeo and Juliet type story.
Like the way I write videos for tech is the same you would write a video for like a love story.
Yeah, I love that.
We're talking about narrative again. This is again in this discussion about what AI tools to use for editing. We've come back to narrative.
Yeah, because that's the core. Like that's the only way it's going to be exciting to watch a story about a product if the product features, tools, abilities become protagonist, right? Like when you can relate to them emotionally, when you feel like this is cool, this is empowering, this is creative, this is new, this is different. So yeah, I think that's
I think that trying to explain something like that is very generic. It's like saying to a designer, make the logo bigger. Like I think the next level of that's what I'm trying to always say to if I give to my editors a feedback that is make this more creative. What kind of feedback is that? Like it doesn't help them in any way. So it's I should have done a mistake in the first place, ideally. But if I am to convey creativity, then the challenge is also to be able to convey, okay, this section is a bit flat, but what can we do? I feel like the music is a bit flat, so then that can be helping. So to me, it's more like making things really practical, because a tutorial on Premiere or how to do a specific effect, there's like thousands, and this is something that's going to be automated and gone away. So that's why I would love in the future for Flask to be used also as a public tool for like breaking down other people's work. So imagine a director that breaks down, okay, the cut is here because, as you mentioned with the olive oil commercial, like we make the cut before the kiss because then it creates a bit more your eyes are already there, and then it's great. You broke down why that was effective.
I had an absolute idea. I absolutely knew why I wanted that cut to be 5 frames earlier, and 5 frames in editing is quite a long time. Yeah. That's a great thing to use for an analysis tool.
And to me, this is great because it's like you're not just you're explaining the why. And so that's the part that I think is going to become more and more important, other than just, hey, let's execute the cut of 5 frames, or like, let's use this plugin in this way. Some technical part will still exist. I think, like the high level VFX I love the visual effects world, like what happens in movies, industrial, like one of my dream customers for Flask could be Industrial Light and Magic. So this is all great. So I don't think, but even that, I think is going to change a lot. And what really matters in the end is the creative part. Like, how do you, yes, the technical ability to show something on screen, but also knowing, have you ever seen those movies where the visual effects looked fake? And they are lots of money, they're professionals. So I'm thinking somewhere along the chain, there is someone that wasn't able to express, either they didn't have time or money, and that's okay. But ideally, you would need someone along the chain of like approvals and like supervisors and whatever that is able to convey like, okay, this looks fake, but also explain why and what to do about it. Like, I don't know, if you have an explosion, then the explosion cannot be in focus and like you see the ripples of the fire and also the person in front of it be visible at the same time, because the human eye doesn't work like that. That's why it looks fake. So you need someone that knows that concept and that can,
point it out,
point it out and tell it to someone that executes. Now
we're talking about the uncanny valley, right? The uncanny valley, and that uncanny valley exists is the concept that a human is very attuned to picking up what is real and what is not. It was used traditionally for things like animations and for robotics. Now we're using it in AI, but we don't use it in AI just to say, oh, look at that person. This is AI generated. Actually, we're identifying AI generated speech. There's probably going to be a case of this is AI generated filmmaking. In terms of it was edited, it was made by AI. You can tell that it doesn't have that heart, that soul. It doesn't cross the uncanny valley.
Well, this was a great conversation. Honestly, I do feel like we should, we're going to be wrapping up. It is very new format for us. Honestly, Enrico, you were one of our test subjects because we want to invite experts and folks to talk shop for our video creators. And I think this was an absolute success. In that sense, I received a lot of messages, like even in DM, that this conversation is super interesting. People are learning great stuff. And of course, we will make tons and tons of clips from it. We'll take you there. But thank you so much for your time. People should absolutely check out Flask because we're using it all the time. Here's a QR code. And there's also a little caption, which with the website that maybe we can pull up. Thank you. And definitely check it out. It is a great tool to collaborate on video, provide feedback, and ultimately make your videos better, faster, and more creative. Even if the feedback is not necessarily be more creative, Flask has got you covered. Thank you so much, Enrico, and we'll see you around. Thanks for a great product.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was fun. Let's get back to our... Oh, big chat. Let me go back to this one. That was really, really fun. Really great conversation. I do think we should be wrapping up because I really feel like this conversation was very wholesome, right? I feel like
we only expected a few minutes with him, and look at that, he gave us like an
and
hour and
he
a
gave
half.
us so much. Yeah, so it was like really good, and I just honestly feel like, you know, getting into any other editing conversations would be kind of overwhelming and just kind of like distracting for this, because this was really awesome. For me, key takeaways is that the future of editing is changing. We are literally watching the era of cutting edge and like complete revolution in that. But there's definitely human creativity, taste, and your ability to see what makes video a good video, what makes a good tutorial. Good tutorial is the core and in the heart and in the center. I really like what Enrico said about how people who only do mechanical, technical stuff should be worried, but people who do creative, insightful, unique work will never need to worry, because they will always be there. And I would say another really, really cool point was like, the ability to express, like, first of all, creativity is taking those puzzle pieces from different experiences that you have, from different work that you've seen, exposure to great stuff, and then your ability to express and explain with audio, with video, with tools, with AI, with prompts, with words, with notes, right? Like ability to express what exactly do you want to achieve. So that, it was a very inspiring conversation.
It's also, you know, there have been people at every stage of every, like TV, video, film production didn't change for the first like 90 years. And then the digital transformation happened, and now we're having this AI transformation. It's just another step. Just because everything went digital, all that did was democratize the tools for everyone. And I think this is just another step. And I think it's really important to emphasize that if you are in video production of any sort, you are both a creative and you are a technical person. And therefore, this is just another little bit of technical stuff for you to learn. I don't know how to code at all. And yet I have been using, you know, Claude Code and coding systems to create things for me to my specification and then iterate on them just by learning a new technology, which I've had to do throughout my entire career. I've been doing this a very long time, and I've done so many different roles. And because I've done so many different roles, it's just another. So I don't think it's anything to be afraid of, and I think it's super exciting.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely it's the future. It's the must, and you cannot stop this from happening. Like all this anxiety and like kind of resistance to technology, to me, is just a sign of like I like to make this analogy. It's a little kind of like harsh and bold, but like it's a protest of horses against cars. In the end of the day,
right?
You can, you know, protest, but inevitably horses will go away, cars will take over, and eventually, hopefully, flying cars or self-driving cars will.
That's not to say I don't like it. I pine for the days of sitting in a $1 million taped tape edit suite with an assistant editor, and runners bring it. Those were some of my favorite days when I was like 20 years old as an assistant and then an editor. Those were some of my favorite times. But times have changed and times will change, and we've just got to keep moving with it and retooling and moving forwards. It's really great fun. It's really fun. I'm having a great time.
Learning is always good. Let us know in the comments if you liked this format of having a guest expert speaker for this live Q&A sessions. We will not do it every time because we do have our own product teams and launches and announcements and updates that we will love to show and demo for you. But in between, I do think, I don't know, Charles, how you feel, but I feel like this was absolutely awesome, and we should absolutely continue bringing in expert in different areas, maybe like the copyright music that a lot of people requested, someone who's an expert in that area, maybe someone who is who has expertise in specific like promotion, research. Of course, there's video editing, there's video, there's posting, there's like all kinds of things. We will probably continue doing that. Yeah.
This conversation came about as Enrico was saying about absorbing information from everywhere and taking on or surrounding yourself by those that you want to emulate. And that was where my conversation with him happened. And that's how this came along. It's case in point that we have got some great content because we were chatting to someone sort of adjacent to our industry.
Yeah. And who is also absolutely obsessed with what he's doing, which is my favorite type of person, my favorite type of guest. So let us know in the comments if you would like us to bring more guest experts. Let us know in the comments or DM us if you are an expert in something video or content related. We would love to talk to you and hear from you. And of course, subscribe to our channel if you have not done that yet. And we will see you next week when we will hopefully talk about some other AI related MCP superpowers and things that you can tell Claude to do in order to control your Restream live streams, events, and studios. So with that in mind, thank you so much. Thank you to you, Charles, for basically putting this all together, convincing Enrico to join us today, putting up the scenes. Our co-producer today was Christian.
So much we didn't get to. We'll have to do it another time.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, but it was great. It was a great conversation. Co-producer Christian, first time co-producing behind the scenes. Thank you, man. You did great. Grant, it was our moderator in chat, and our product manager for AI clips, Romario, was on clipping. We will see you next week. I'm Anya with Product Marketing at Restream, and thank you for your time today. Thanks for hanging out.